Hi, welcome to the video. Today we're going to be talking about Really Robin and the crystal skull in the Mineshaft. Now, one piece of advice I say to you is listen, but do not internalize, just to balance things out. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to share with you some of Robin's responses, comments and emails, just to give a bit of backstory and understanding to why Robin did what he did and when. Now, yes, there is skepticism and, people questioning stuff. That's all to be expected and it's natural because of the other people we've come across that have been dodgy. But we'll just see what this says, okay? And I'll read it out to you. Right, so just to start things off, the re-emergence of Robin, the comments on YouTube, as well as the re-upload of his hike video he did. You can see on the screen, 4th of February, re-upload of 2020 hike, will delete later, my very last hike in preparations. Go along. He said, you'll know what really happened soon before it's too late. Followed by someone asking, why a temporary upload? Seems a bit weird. Something judged by how you're acting. Sketched out. And then he said, I'm here only to explain things and clear the air. This video is my past and I don't want to go back to it. I'll upload video from my last hike when I'll be on the place, and this video will stay on the channel unless they will remove it. Now, what does he mean by they? Does he mean YouTube maybe, or someone in charge elsewhere? Next comment, he said, since my comment is not visible for some reason, I'm pasting it here once again. Leaving my past behind, I don't want to forget who I once was and horrible mistakes I've made. I referred link to my old channel on this one. New hike coming soon. Interesting. And then talk to Jeff Clark saying, yes, I'll explain what happened soon. I don't have much time left. I mean, he says, don't have much time left, but that video is scheduled for 2024 or something, so there must be enough time. Anyway, Robin then said, I'm going there by the end of this month and I'm going to record it if everything will go as planned. And then Jeff started answering back. Cool, but we could have answers before then if you just confirm a few things. There's also a crystal skull in the mine issue that someone needs to rule out as it's still being there or not. And then that's when Robin replied, the skull was just a warning. Now we've heard that before, how in Robin's hike video where he found that skull perched upon that rock, he said the same exact thing there. Now we just go along, there you go. It says, we both were working for the same agency for the same market. Now, I think that's in reference to Sean as well. They were both working for the same group of people, I assume. And then he also says, I'm going to remove this video and all the comments of mine in a few days for the safety reasons. You have my permission to download it, but don't upload it without my permission. That's his hike video. Then he says, I'm going there soon. I'm going to document it. Watch for the upcoming clues. And then Jeff talks about Chuck. Also, I forgot to share with you the screenshot of when Robin admitted he put the skull there. And you can see on the screen, Robin said, you're wrong about this. J. Chuck replies, well, you have your opinion. That's a fact. J. Chuck says, it is a rock. Feel free to believe whatever you want. Then Robin says, I put it there. And then the thread continued after that. I think Jeff Clark joined in and said, why? What's the point? Or are you sure? And then Robin just basically was talking about how he did it previously, put the skull there as like a warning, as a sign, as a clue, and he wanted to see if anyone would catch along with it and pick up on it early on. So that was the reason behind that, supposedly. And then that's when I came in. I don't know if the screenshots are in total order, but I just wanted to share it with you now, just that bit of material, to get a little bit of an understanding of what's gone on. And, just in case if things get deleted down the line, you've got this to refer back to. So I stepped in, and this is where it begun, the whole email situation and explanation with the skull. I asked him about emails. What about the original email account? I sent you one. You didn't reply. You remember when I did that Q&A? How I showed you with Robin answering those questions and stuff and getting a response to do with religion and getting away from social media. You remember that? Well, I thought he would have replied back on that email address, but he ended up saying, Seems somebody took over. I tried to retrieve the password, but somebody added a new phone number and two-step verification, and it's blocked for me to get access to. That's why I needed a new one here. I guess the question is, why would someone take over his account? What use does it have? What purpose? Is it just a random hacker, or is it some targeted individual? I don't know. If we go on the email responses by Robin to me, he said, about the skull, I have to confess, I knew about the case of Kenny Veach years before my 2020 hike. I put it there years before my first videos of Kenny Veach. There is a secret entry to that mine, and you don't have to use the ladder at all. And I'm going to the place because I want to end this chapter once and for all. But what I can say is, he wasn't alone on that hike back in 2014, and I also can confirm he returned home from that hike. Well, we obviously know that ourselves. He left some clues about what he's planning. Now, if we move on to the next reply, you can see a bit more official. You can see Robin's name and profile picture. I had to trim the other messages down so you could see it clearly, okay? So he said, hi, about the skull. It's recent. Can you see the bruises on the cheek? It was damaged, and it's normal when you keep the object so long in such a place. I have to clean it up. Almost looks like new. It's fluorite. It was put there by me in late 2016. I never informed Sean or Jeff Clark about it. I didn't want to reveal I knew about the case earlier. I'm a bit older than they think, but for the safety reasons, I won't reveal my real age. Jeff Clark made a good point about the age. That's a good observation. Now, to fully understand what Robin is getting at, he did send me an attachment picture of the skull that was in the mineshaft. This is what it looks like. Now, in terms of the colouring and the bits of purple on it, it does look similar to the one in the mineshaft. Now, I'll do a side-by-side comparison as best as I can shortly. But basically, he was saying the skull, it was taken recently, the picture. That would make sense and tie in line, considering the skull, as what we saw in 2021 by those hikers out there with the drone footage, the skull was missing in the mineshaft. It was not there whatsoever. So it would make sense to why Robin recently took a picture of it, because he went back there to collect it. Now, he's going on saying how it was a bit damaged and stuff, a bit bruised, and because it was there for a long time, it makes sense if it was done in 2016. Now, it's kind of interesting because it's kind of specific. Late 2016. We didn't know Robin existed then. He wasn't around. So that's interesting. Didn't inform Jeff or Sean. He's talking about safety, whatever reason. You saw in the comments on YouTube, he said like he's only got a certain amount of time and he's got to be careful how he acts and stuff. So yeah, there you go. I can't really give much of an opinion on it because, you know, that's what I've been given. That's what I've been told. What you see is what you see. Depends how you interpret it, or you don't have to at all. But it does tie in with certain areas due to the simple fact of a supposed skull is no longer there. And there is a picture of a skull that looks very similar in the hands of Robin, and it was done recently. So that would explain that. Is it normal behaviour to just put the skull there anonymously, quietly, in hopes someone might catch it? Because reality was, people that physically went there, no one saw it. It was the viewers, not me, other people, way back then. That was about 5 years ago. Tight in line, Jeff Clark went out there in 2017. Robin put it there in 2016. So that would make sense. Now, I think really to finalise it, but I don't think it's possible whatsoever. If there was footage in 2015, when Sean went out there in 2015, I'm sure he did go out in 2015, yes. But I don't know about footage of the mineshaft. I don't think he went inside it. If he went inside it back then and there was footage of it and there was no skull there, it would reinforce it even more that it was most likely Robin in 2016. If it was there before that, then you'd be thinking, oh, well, it's a lie. But unfortunately, we don't have that material at the moment, or we may never have that material, okay? So you can let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I think, in a way, you know, once again, the Mineshaft, is it another sub-mystery, could be solved once again. Talk about secret entrances and stuff. Interestingly, you know, Jeff Claw also had that idea, that concept back then. That's why he went there. That's why he was looking around, because he thought there might have been tunnels or some kind of entrance which connects on to something, to the M cave or underground, wherever. With Robin supposedly having information and knowledge that there is a way in and it's not down the ladder, makes you think, well, where then? I'm sure he said not down the ladder. So, yeah, it is kind of interesting, to be honest. Now, you know, this is where we've got to, you know, halt and say, okay, they're saying that, they're claiming responsibility for it. They're giving a brief explanation as well. People are most likely going to be skeptical and think, no, I don't believe it and stuff. Well, I said it makes sense. What I would say is, most likely, if it wasn't for all the previous encounters with dodgy people and, you know, misinformation, if none of them existed and then Robin returned, people probably would be more likely to believe in what he says. And maybe to reinforce it more, if Robin, you know, never uploaded those last 2 videos, what he did with the Mothman and the interview, claiming it's been completely solved when really within the video it wasn't, because there wasn't much info, evidence. One for those 2 things, those 2 factors, people would probably believe in Robin quicker and more and think this is the real person. But because there's been so much identity crisis, confusion, fake accounts and everything, people saying, you're not you. And then they're saying, no, you're not you. And it's like, mess, absolute mess. All I can describe it, it's like the ladder effect. At the end of the day, on the ladder, the people at the bottom, the most obvious type of people to do a certain action, good or bad. The top of the ladder is, you know, the least likeliest of people to do certain stuff or act in certain ways. Whether it be the status, position they're in, what they're regarded by, how they're described as by others, their personality, how they, you know, get their message across, how they convey themselves in their style. And when the ones at the top act out, do something bad, fake, deceive, whatever, there's a higher level of distrust, you know, to the people that have been affected by it. Because you'd be thinking, wow, those sort of people do that? Who can I trust, really? Now, as I said, I have been in that position several times, so I would know. If it's done by people at the bottom of the ladder, not great. But, you know, it's like, well, it's to be expected at the end of the day when you look retrospectively, you know. Just like how when I was friends with, I think they were a goth, I can't remember, some person from America, and, you know, very cold, didn't really talk, didn't really communicate, didn't really give much, just took. And it's like, well, that's shit. But when you look back retrospectively at the bottom of the ladder in terms of, you know, maybe issues and problems they had, it's to be expected for that behaviour. It's still not acceptable, but it's to be expected. So that's how I base it off. So when you apply it to this mystery, you've got the people at the bottom, such as what, the minions, the children, degenerates, and people that just mess around, come out with false claims, findings which aren't true, but they're very obvious, they're very vague, very basic, and they end up following a certain pattern, saying, oh, I went there, I went here, I saw this, and then I ran away. Same repeated story. It's obvious, you can just brush it aside. Whereas when you get the individuals who are much higher up in the position they're in, such as a family member or search and rescue member, or maybe some kind of ex-military guy, or some other shaman or something with great knowledge, supposedly, and then some other people here and there, because they're so individually unique to themselves and not similar to one another, you can't compare, all you can do is really contrast. And because you can't compare, you can't generalize. And if you can't generalize, you can't brush them aside more efficiently. So, you know, you've got to spend a bit of time and try and assess each situation. Now, for some people, they'll just bulldoze the way through, and that's perfectly fine, because it's like, you know, at a certain point in time, the mind is like a bomb. Actually, I don't know if you're allowed to say that, but to be honest, it basically is. Too many negative things happen, the mind will die. That's what will happen. Might not be for everyone, but like for some, the mind will die. And it can also apply with the trust part. Trust is lost. So the next person, the next group you come across, you feel nothing. You don't trust them, you don't expect anything good to happen, you're not positive, nothing, it's dead. And when you apply that into a mystery, it can be problematic. It's not your fault. If you've come across bad stuff 90 to 99% of the time, you're going to be expecting the same outcome the next encounter. It all makes sense. And when you get the odd few individuals that do show up in the mystery, who are genuine, who do have real information, you might dismiss it and brush it aside because you're like, I've had enough of the bullshit. And because you brushed it aside, wasted. Might never find out, might never know. And that's it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like with me, if I fully, do you know what? If I activated my, it sounds like Power Rangers or something, stop being fucking spasmoid, Andrew. If I activated alert level to the absolute max, fuck me. I know exactly how that would go. Basically what would happen is I'd look at someone, 0.5 seconds, cancer, prick, bastard, liar, degenerate, probably a user, you know, like that, just keywords to describe one person, it's like that. And on the odd occasion, you'll come across someone who might have certain behaviour or certain patterns, but they are normal. It is at the right place, it is the right time, there is a chance, but because I dismiss it, there's no hope. And it's like, well, I can't go to that extreme because you will eventually come across the right person, and you've got to try and be in the correct gear, not literally correct mind, cognitive, can't say the word. You've got to be in the correct state. So then, what I'm doing now, I'm doing a bit of a J Chuck where I'm just talking off, and it's like, it's like, I don't know where I'm at now, where I'm going. Let's just type back to the mystery, okay? Robin comes in, the supposed really Robin returns, but because of, you know, what's previously happened and misinformation, it's like, oh, do we trust Robin or not? And if you brush him aside, it's like, well, we'll never know what he had to say. We never know what information he has. That's why I tap back to the first line I said. Listen, but you don't have to internalise. Take it in to an extent if you want. And as for other videos down the line, audios, as you may see on his channel, scheduled for certain dates, some very, very extreme, some a few months on, I think one 2024, very extreme, but there might be a reason for it, I don't know. The main thing is not to wait, not to think about it, and it's probably very straightforward in this regard, because it's just a mystery. It's a side thing, isn't it? It's not attached to people literally, so yeah. But the reason why I say it in that way is because, like with anything, if you wait for something like that, or maybe like a game or something, or a film, depending who you are, excitement levels could build, intrigue could build, interest, suspicion, questioning, the lot. And whilst it's brewing away, while it's bubbling within, it's like, when it finally does come, when it's finally delivered, is it underwhelming? You know, expectations build over time. When like something's been announced in the near future and it's like, whoa, this is going to take some time. You build it up, hype it up, and then when it's finally there, it's, leads to higher levels and higher chances of disappointment, frustration, the lot. And it could happen again. In this case, that's why it's best just to like pop in, you know, like how some people did, pop in, have a quick check at the video or see what's going, and then back out. But not to wait, because in the meantime, what can be done is just looking at other mysteries, other sub-mysteries, or little details or other questions within the mystery itself, like what's been going back and forth with the whole flat top and Robin's Canyon. That's been ongoing. And I'm sure there'll be some of the little mysteries along the way and strange stuff like the sword intent. So, you know, we'll get into that more maybe at some other point, but what I wanted to do was just present to you this video from what Robin has to say, what he said to me about the mineshaft, the skull and stuff like that. And then just explain to you just afterwards, like post, I forgot what you call it, like debrief of, this is what I've been given, this is what I'm explaining. A very rough opinion, just a short one. You can tell me what you think down below, but just don't take it full on, but don't completely dismiss it either, because you never know, at some point or some time in any situation, the right person might come along, you know? So that's basically it. I hope you enjoyed the video and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.